New Year's Day. Whoa, episode 45, the first day of 2022. Holy Ned. Wow, how is that possible? But it is, and it's great. It's great to start a new year. Welcome to Keeping It Real. My name is Gretchen, and I am a photographer. And usually we do these live, but it's New Year's Day, and I'm hanging with my grandkids. So my daughter and son-in-law could have a night out. So that's what I'm doing. And I'm probably being trampled by a 6-year-old, a 3-year-old, and an 8-month-old, which is heaven for me. So today, though, I thought I would record a show for you and welcome you to the new year for Keeping It Real. And I'm going to keep going with some of these as long as people want to listen. And it brings me a great deal of joy to share some stories, to share my progress on learning eCamm, which is a big part of this journey, and also to share my photographs because I am a photographer. I'm a wildlife and landscape, and as I always say, we keep looking for the beauty hidden in plain sight. And that's what we're up to today. So today I said, there was a photograph at the beginning that said, "Who is visiting my forest?" And I want to start out the year with a photographic fantasy. And that's the book that I'm going to read today. It's called Stranger in the Woods. And I thought about, let's see. I actually think I will start with my photographs because this is about the stranger in the woods and the animals and how they hide. This book, I think we'll use that to end this. So I'm going to start with some photographs of mine that were taken in Yellowstone in February of 2020 in weather that was minus 22. And the high was like minus 18, the low was minus 22. So it was cold. Beautiful, sunny, clear, crisp, freeze your took a spoy. Goodness gracious, but it was amazing. And I went there and went on a winter wolf expedition through Yellowstone Forever. And if you're not familiar with that organization, they're the official educational organization that is attached to Yellowstone National Park. They have the one research facility out in Lamar Valley that you can go, and they study bison, and if you're with one of their trips. And so we went, and it was the winter wolves, and was to look for wolves. I saw them in a distance, and you'll see some in pictures. In fact, I had 2 of my 3 days that I went were three dog days, they call them, where I saw all 3 canines that are in Yellowstone: the wolves, the red fox, and the coyote. I saw mountain sheep. I was able to photograph them. I saw moose, which you saw at the beginning, and saw some elk. The only elk picture I have is pretty funny because he's got his head buried. We saw, oh my goodness, the bison, of course, and the deer all over the place. But I wanted to show you the photographs first because of how the environment is and what the animals, how we found them, and some of the things. So I'm going to take you on that little bit of this adventure first. So we'll go to here, and there I am. And this is a photograph of a river, actually, that the trails that we would look at would be little tiny trails, and you would see different kinds of them, and you could tell what kind of animals the people that were our naturalist that was leading the expedition could tell what they were, and we found these type of things. So it was a really interesting thing because I was standing just on the bridge to see these trails pretty clearly. But it became one of those things that finding the trails was something important to this um, whole part of what we were doing. And so this it was a different kind of trail here, and this is a different trail here of a different kind of animal, and what they would go and where they would go. So that was the first thing. We started looking for trails. One of the first days out, we were stopped at a pullover stop on our way out because we were there were about 8 of us in a small, or in a kind of a large van, and this coyote came over the ridge and kind of stopped and looked. It was interesting because it was still pretty dark in the morning, and so the light was, I wasn't quite ready for finding them right there at the side of the road if you just looked behind. And there were several. They ran along this ridge, and you can see their track come down here. You learn to look for these tracks because the animals will stay in their same tracks, or they'll follow other tracks because either they're looking for that animal or they know it's an easier route. And they also tend to come on the roads because the road that we were on was plowed. Now, this is out in the Lamar Valley and out toward the Buffalo Ranch, which is what the Yellowstone Forever, their research station, is at. And all of these trails are trails of wolves. And if you look carefully, there is a wolf right here. It was bright sunshine. He's coming in. The kill that they had was right in this section, right here. And they had been on this kill and had part of it. And then they had dragged part of the kill up into the hill up here. But the majority of the kill had been down here. And we had quite a time where there was a bit of a dip, so you couldn't necessarily see the wolves, but you could see the antlers of the elk that they had killed. And they were very pleased on it. This same group stayed on this kill for 2 to 3 days. In the middle day, they kind of left it for a bit, and the coyotes came in, tried to get some. And you can see the trails across here. So this is probably a good mile across this valley from where I am. I've got a pretty good sized lens. I think I'm shooting with a 600 millimeter across this valley. And so I'm a good mile away from this. But these were the kind of trails that we would look for. And then you would look for things. And this up here, right here, is actually a wolf right back up there. Yeah. My wolf pictures were not what I was hoping for. There's another one sitting right up there. But to see the trails, and I learned so much about how to look for them and what to see. And going in the wintertime is just beautiful. And then there was the mountain sheep. So we went further out in Lamar, out toward Cook, and just stopped along the side of the road. And we couldn't quite understand why, because we couldn't really see anything. And then our naturalist pointed out and said, "Oh, look up there. They're up there under the trees." And so there were these 2 mountain sheep, and looked about it. And the interesting thing about them is these horns never stop growing. And so one of the things that is the reason that not because they fall off of things, but because if they lose their vision, so they knock these off on purpose. They try to knock the edges off of their horns because it blocks their vision otherwise. I thought that was pretty interesting. So you can see, here's one here. These guys are over here under this tree, and you can see how well they blend in. And there was probably 20 or 30 of them all along this ridge here. It was pretty amazing to see here and here, and they would be all around, and then they'd be down on the rock. And you'd look at them. This was a set of coyote. There were 3 of them, and one is right here, and then the 2 more are here, and the bison were coming in. So the bison had been chewing up in this field, and the coyotes were here, and the wolf kill is in the direction to the left of the picture, probably about another half mile down this valley that's all flat. It's actually a river that's frozen over. And so the coyotes were up here with a small kill of their own. They had a bird or something. And but they were watching, and they kept coming back. And the second day, they scooted over and tried to grab some of the wolf kill, but the wolves had left 1 scout or 1 or 2 scouts behind. So there were the 3 coyote. The sun was very bright, and the snow was very bright. So it was a lesson for me in learning how to photograph in that, and it's still a lesson I need to learn quite a lot. The bison the snow is quite deep. Their legs are very long, and they're just buried in it. This was a super, super cold day. You could tell because the bison were laying down in the snow to try to keep warmer than when they were standing up. We were out here. This is that hill that you saw the mountain goats on. Here and around on this ridge was where the mountain goats were, all up along there. And then this was another big valley, and these bison were just crossing the way. There's a river, and there's hot springs, or it's the thermal vents along there. Yeah. In Yellowstone, even in the winter, there are still bison jams, and they don't give way to the vehicles. And you can't honk at them. You can't flash your lights at them. All those things are illegal. Plus, if you take them off, they're more likely to spin and slam their head into your car, and that their head is about 250 pounds, and they weigh about 2,000 pounds. And so, yeah, one of the naturalists who has worked there for years had a bison just slam into his old Subaru, and the Subaru lost. Yeah, but they don't do that very often. As long as you just keep moving along inch by inch, then they'll eventually step aside and let you through. And there were little ones and the bigger ones. It was so cool. And this was really early in the morning, and the sun was just coming up, and there was this one lone bison coming across a valley, and following a path that somebody else had broken through. The naturalist was saying that he probably was an older bison that was on his last legs, so they will tend to separate sometimes from the herd so that they don't take the rest of the herd and make the rest of the herd vulnerable. Yeah, as I said, I'm in a little band, and the elk is, I'm trying to get pictures through the window or stuff like this, and of course he stuffs his head down back in, and they smack their head back and forth and back. Bison do the same thing to get down to the grass. It's pretty cool. Here we go. We'd gotten through a bison jam, and we were going ahead, and there was another bison jam in front of us, so we were the only car. And we pulled over in this one area, and we saw a moose going by, and we were able to walk along the road, and then the moose started. There were 3 of them actually, and they're probably the more volatile, unpredictable animal in Yellowstone. You find them more in Grand Teton than you do in Yellowstone, but they're the ones that they can run really fast, and they're giant. They're huge. They're 8 feet tall. Yeah, crazy. But they're at the top of their head. nuts. Big, powerful, beautiful animals. And this was a younger female. And then we'd gotten through that bison jam one, and just had, after I'd seen the elk, and we just saw this red fox, and he had just picked up his head and he'd done that jump and dive thing. Oh, and I literally dove into the aisle of the little bus, and the natural, they couldn't stop because you can't stop alongside the road for what they do. But she slowed so far down and she opened the door of it, and so I'm like taking pictures out the door. It was just the best. It was so cool to watch it do that I've seen on the national, on shows and everything like that. And they actually do. They jump up and they go dive right into the snow. He's listening for something underneath the snow. And then my last picture is this. It really showed how cold it was. This was a raven. I call this piece First Watch. And it was just, it was blowing a bit. So we had some ice blow going through, and the raven was sitting there, and the trees were just completely covered in frost. It was absolutely, it was such an amazing trip. Such an amazing trip that I would go back in a heartbeat. Yeah, Yellowstone is one of my very favorite places. I have gone in October and in April and in February. I've never gone in the summer, and I don't really have a desire to because there's an awful lot of people. And what I'm looking forward to photographing is more likely to be seen on those shoulder seasons. And so September is my goal one of these times, because we have the bison and the elk rut, and there's a lot of them around. And the bears are around more. They haven't headed off into hibernation. And I'd like to go in March too, for when the bears start to come out. And so that's my next one of my goals, to see those. Yeah, it would be great. So for that though, I wanted to show those to illustrate a bit of what it's like for wintertime for animals in reality. And then this book that I'm going to share is called Stranger in the Woods. And Strangers in the Woods is by Carl R. Sams, and Jean Stoic. Whoa, something's happening upstairs. And they call it a photographic fantasy, and it's a Benjamin Franklin Award, Publishers Marketing Association. Very cool. So the book is a story told with photographs, and I find that really fascinating, not only as a librarian and as a photographer. This is just right up my jam. So here we have A Stranger in the Woods, and the photographer is really good. Stranger in the Woods, Carl R. Sams II and Jean Stoic. For those who protect wild places, and to the snowman that lives in every child's heart. The snowflakes were resting after their twisting, twirling dance through the crisp night air. Every twig in the forest wore a new coat of glimmering white. Daybreak came, softly moving through the woods and yawning as its rays slowly stretched, crossing the snowy meadows. The birds were the first to notice. "Stranger in the woods! Stranger in the woods! Take care! Take care!" the blue jays cawed, a warning from high in the tops of the tall oaks. "Do you hear the jays calling?" Mother Doe spoke softly to her fawn. "Yes," he whispered. "I always listen to the birds. The wind blowing through the trees, the rustling of the leaves, and all the sounds of the woods. Stranger in the woods. Who's in the woods? Where did the cherries say? Where is he? Asked the owl of many questions. Could that be him? Asked the mourning dove. There, beyond the old apple tree. Follow the snow trail past the pond to where this meadow begins. Not far at all. Who's in the woods? Why is he here? When did the stranger come? Asked the owl of many questions. I've been here since early morning, before the first pale light of the eastern sky, said the munching muskrat. No stranger came this way. No one passed by my pond. I followed the snow trail under the light of the winter moon, answered the buck. He was not there during the night. That I am sure. As the animals moved through the snowy forest, they came to the edge of a meadow. The frightened doe stomped her hoof and snorted. Where is he? Where is he? Can you see him? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I see him, chattered the squirrel. Someone needs to go. Check. Check him out. Who will go? Who will go and see? Asked the owl of many questions. Now, don't be looking at me. I'm much too busy chewing on my antler, sputtered the porcupine. You'll not be volunteering me. No siree, said the scared rabbit. Is he watching me? Howdy-dee, it's me, the chickadee-dee-dee. I will go. I will take the lead. I'm as small as I can scamper quickly. I'll do it. I'll make a tunnel under the snow where only I can go, creeping in closer to get a look quietly, just like a mouse. Let it be me. Let me go, volunteered the fawn. I can do it. I know I can. I'm the strongest and the biggest, said the young buck. I should go first. I can fly faster, chirped the cardinal. But I can run like the lightning, and I have antlers, boasted the buck. But I am red, announced the cardinal, not knowing what else to say. What are you waiting for? I'm already here, exclaimed the chickadee-dee-dee. Gee, said the chickadee-dee-dee. There are nuts and seeds on this hat for you and me. This stranger is friendly. Come see, there's plenty. I can see there's something for you, said the buck. Could it be there's something for me? My nose is leading me to corn buried beneath the snow. I found a treat that I can eat, said the young doe as she reached out to the stranger. Wow, a carrot. Do I have to share it? What is this? Questioned the fawn as he passed a curious object in the snow. Could it be there's more than one stranger in the woods? After the corn was gone, the animals left by the snow trail one by one and disappeared into the winter woods. It was the chickadee who took the last seed and flew away. The snowman stood alone, but only for a short time. They've eaten everything, even the carrot nose, whispered the little sister, peeking out from behind the evergreens. Let's put out some more seeds and corn before they come back, encouraged the brother. The animals will never know we were here. How long will we feed them? She asked. For a long, long time, he replied. After the snow has gone and the snowman has melted, until the frogs start to sing and the trees grow new leaves. I think they like carrots the best. The end. And then it has a great recipe for a snowman. I love it. One generous helping of well-packed snow. Old hats, old gloves, fallen branches, well-bundled children. It's great. And there's the final picture, which is really beautiful. Such a clever idea. I think it's very cute. And that is Stranger in the Woods. And that is my story for tonight. Thank you so much for joining me tonight for Keeping It Real on this brand new New Year's Day with a new story to share for you. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you take some time to look for the beauty hidden in plain sight. It's all around you, but the first place to look is in your mirror, because you'll find it right there. All right. You have a great night, and I'll catch you tomorrow.